What's going on, guys? Mega Gig back with another video, taking a look at the Seismic Slam Immortal King build. This build was brought to my attention by Appleseed on YouTube, and there will be a link to his video in my description, where he clears a Greater Rift 95. None of my stuff has Caldescents. It's not really optimized for this build. We're just going to be doing a 90 today, but yeah, I guess this build was probably popular kind of back in the day. I haven't really seen anybody run it recently, but it's almost the same as the Hoda build. Basically, we've just swapped Hammer the Ancients for Seismic Slam. We're using the Permafrost Cold Rune, and we've swapped the Hammer the Ancients bracers and weapon in the cube for the Seismic Slam buffed bracers and weapon respectively. However, we also have swapped out Cures for Frostburn. Cold skills deal 20% increased damage and have a 50% chance to freeze enemies. This comes in handy, of course, the freezing enemies part, and then 20% more damage overall because it is a cold build. One thing I will note about the gear, Istvan's blades seem to be the best overall. I was trying to work these in somehow, but so I was thinking this freezes and this freezes, and I was hoping that 10,000% increased weapon damage, would proc a little more often, but it really doesn't. These really seem to be much more consistent. Now, these are also rolled with really good stats, and they're both Ancients, where these are not. So that could have something to do with it. But yeah, I'm running the same gems as Appleseed was as well. I'm running Bane of the Stricken, Trapped, and Convention of Elements. If you need more toughness, feel free to run Esoteric, Alteration. Pain Enhancer's also a really good gem on this because it gives you more attack speed, and that does affect how fast you cast Seismic Slam. So keep that in mind. When it comes to skills, these are all basically the same. We're still using Rampage, Ruthless, and Superstition for toughness and a little bit of Fury gain. He's also using No Escape, and I thought I would try that as well. Your Seismic Slam will deal 30% damage to enemies that are more than 15 yards away. This especially comes in handy, of course, when killing big mobs, and you can kind of stand a little farther away, but on Rift Guardians and elites that are kind of low down, because your Call of the Ancients will kind of keep them distracted, and you can stand back and do more damage there. You can also use Brawler if you like. You can use Weapon Master. I wouldn't recommend Berserker Rage because you're probably not going to be at full fury all the time, because we are using Fury the Ancients, but they just don't generate Fury quite as fast as you're spending it, even with the reduced cost of Seismic Slam from Fury of the Vanished Peak. So keep that in mind. We're also using the Traveler's Pledge, Compass Rose, Endless Walk set. We're using Convention of Elements, and this is a cold build, so we'll be doing our major damage on the cold roll. And we're using the 6-piece bonus of Immortal Kings. That being said, I think, yeah, that's pretty much everything on the gear. You don't really need cooldown reduction here. I've only got 10%, which is coming from my Paragon points. I've got a health gem in the helmet. That's because these two skills, which are your main cooldowns, are going to be reduced by the 4-piece set bonus here. Every time you spend 10 Fury, reduce them by 3%, or by 3 seconds. So, yeah, we're not really going to have to worry about cooldowns very much. However, if you're not finding elites, do make sure that you're casting this fairly often to keep this off a cooldown. And yeah, let's just hop into a 90 and see what we can do. Go ahead and get our buffs up and see if maybe we can find anything. You can see the damage numbers there. We do good damage. Go ahead and clear everything out when you hit your cold roll. That way you're keeping your Wrath of the Berserker off cooldown as much as you can. It would be nice to actually find some enemies, and we have just that. It plays very, very similar to the Hoda build. It's a little more, Seismic Slam is a little more directional, but it does have a really good hit range. It does have a really good range on it. So you can kind of position yourself. Your Oculus Ring is pretty easy to stand in, no matter where it's at. Let's not forget this guy up here. Also, something interesting to note on this build is I haven't had a big problem with my Ancients dying like on the Hoda build. I'm not entirely sure the difference. But yeah, they don't seem to die as often. Most of the time, especially when you're really pushing high, you don't see Bane of the Powerful a lot. It's not that it's a bad gem, but it's just that unpredictability of being able to find elites and then being able to kill them in the amount of time to keep that active. So if I were going to run this build all the time, I don't know that I would run Bane of the Powerful. I'm just running it here because that's what he was running, and we're gonna lose all of our buffs here. And I'm not entirely sure how far 15 yards is in this game. That's 20 yards. So 15 yards isn't really very far. Sometimes you can kind of line enemies up a little better if you charge through them one way, let them come at you for a second, and then charge at them, charge through them the opposite direction. As I was just looking at this, does the explosion around 20 yards, and you can kind of see the explosion area going off there as we're fighting. So 15 yards is obviously less than 20. So you can kind of see you don't really have to be too far away from enemies. Oops. I didn't mean to cast that again. I don't know if they were down or not. And I did it again. Fingers are clicking. And wow, I didn't even get any elites on that floor. And now we're greeted with 2 elites. So let's kind of line them up here if we can. Our Wrath of Berserker's about to go down. And you can see without Esoteric, our toughness is not super high. And in some testing, I've thrown in Esoteric. Of course, you do less damage, but you also gain quite a bit of toughness. So let's take a look at our toughness again. When we're moving, it's in the 700 million range. And when we're standing still, it goes down to about 650, depending on our strength stacks. And these guys are not lining up well. So we'll come this way and see if we can't line them up some. Like with the Hoda build, if you... Whoa, and we died. I was trying to charge and talk at the same time. And darn, we didn't hit anything, so that's not going to cool down. Bummer. With Esoteric, what I'm trying to say is with Esoteric, you have over 1 billion toughness. So, yeah, so if you're needing toughness, use Esoteric over Bane of the Powerful, probably. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. And of course there's a power shrine right up here. If only we could find an elite. There we go. Yeah, you do notice quite a bit of difference in toughness with and without Esoteric on this build. When I was running it with Esoteric, of course, like I said, you notice the damage difference a little bit, but man, you really take a lot less damage with Esoteric. Let's get over here in our Oculus Ring for our cold roll. Again, with the range, it's really easy to stand in your Oculus Ring on this build, so try and do it as often as you can. And I've been getting the worst rifts lately. This is actually pretty good. All the ranged mobs kind of sucks, but actually pretty good. I get a good rift and then I don't play good, so take it for what it is. I realize I haven't been playing that well in this rift. We're going to stand right here and just murder everything. But you do want to be finding elites, because if you are running Bane of the Powerful anyways, because that is going to affect your Bane of the Powerful stacks. Trying to kind of line things up here. Not sure if we're hitting that gold from here or not. Didn't look like we were. And bummer, we died again. So we're doing really good time-wise. Like I said, toughness can be an issue, but again, I'm not playing super well. That me dying right there was totally on me. It wasn't for lack of toughness that time anyways. You gotta know when to move. Of course, this guy is being super annoying. I really hate those frozen vortexes following you around. There we go. There we go. So yeah, don't call me out in the comments for playing like crap. Now you can call me out for playing like crap if you want. I know I suck. And of course now it's a shielding. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Alright, let's see what's up here. Kind of draw in a couple more enemies. Now we need to spend some of our fury. I wish he'd stop shielding right when I want to kill him. I realize he's supposed to defend himself, but... And my Fury's charge is not working with me very well either. Don't die, come on! Oh, I am so garbage. No! Yeah. Really, bro? Do you have to keep shielding? Come on. Come on now, die! At this point, I almost feel like it's pathetic. There we go. 98, 9. There we go. All right. Now, we're going to charge in on this guy. And, of course, he didn't get hit. So our Furious Charge stack is going to fall off. But make sure you're standing back. Ooh, and don't get hit by that. Charge into him. Make sure you hit him with your charge to get one stack off of your... or 1 second off of your charge to keep it off of cooldown. And then just stay back as far as you can. So I do think this build has a lot of potential. A lot more than I have shown it today. And did that hit him? Yeah, I guess it did hit him. And really, technically, because your battle rage is 20 yards and you only have to stand 15 yards to get the bonus, you can technically, if you position it just right, stand where they'll still get hit by your battle rage, and yet you still get the damage buff from your passive. Yeah, so let's see. Our toughness is 565 without our strength stacks, which actually is the same as our, basically exactly the same as our whirlwind toughness all the time. So, but the sustain on the whirlwind build is much, much higher. But there you go, guys. Like I said, this has a lot more potential. He ran a 95. Check out his video in the description. I know I played like garbage, but it's a neat, fun build, and yeah, I'll probably do an actual build guide on it again when things are done changing. I did ask him permission if I could do a video on it, even though I don't think it's actually his build. I think people have done it before. But check out his video in the description, guys. He runs a 95, and yeah, he plays better than I do. So thank you guys for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks, guys, for watching. More good stuff to come. Take care.